Have you ever wondered if the Western society is being manipulated, and if so, how? As we stand at the dawn of the year 2024, we find ourselves amidst a society that is increasingly divided. We see this division manifesting in various ways, such as the rise of woke culture, a movement that has both its fervent supporters and its vehement detractors. Then there's the issue of gender politics, a topic that has become a hotbed for contention and debate. And let's not forget about race bias, an issue that continues to affect countless individuals, stirring up tensions and creating rifts within our communities. These issues, among others, are straining our societal harmony, leading us to question the very foundations upon which our society stands. Is this the result of spontaneous evolution, or is there a more sinister force at play? Well, a former KGB agent, Yuri Bezmenov, may have some answers. Yuri Bezmenov, a name that might not be familiar to many, but his theories have been quite influential. Born in 1939 in the former Soviet Union, Bezmenov was a high-ranking official in the KGB, the main security agency for the Soviet Union. He specialized in the area of psychological warfare, a field that uses propaganda and misinformation to manipulate the beliefs and behaviors of individuals and societies. After becoming disillusioned with the Soviet system, Bezmenov defected to the West in the mid-70s. He brought with him a wealth of knowledge about the tactics used by the KGB, revealing the extent of their efforts to manipulate and control the societies of their adversaries. His revelations were shocking, exposing a long-term strategy of subversion aimed at undermining the moral, social, and political fabric of Western societies from within. His theories on psychological warfare and societal subversion are particularly relevant today. Bezmenov described subversion as a slow process to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interest of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. Subversion, as Bezmenov theorized, takes place in 4 stages: demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. Let's break down each of these stages and look at some examples from our current society. First, demoralization. This stage takes around 15 to 20 years, the time needed to educate a single generation. The goal is to expose the public to the ideology of the subverter. In this stage, true information does not matter. Once demoralized, a person refuses to accept any information that contradicts the indoctrination they've received, regardless of its authenticity. Next, we have destabilization. This stage only takes 2 to 5 years. Here, the subverter focuses on the essentials: economy, foreign relations, and defense systems. The intention is to create a scenario where change is drastic and fast, leaving the society vulnerable. The third stage, crisis, is a swift and drastic change of power structure and economy. This period, which may last up to 6 months, is characterized by a revolutionary change, which leads to civil unrest and chaos. Finally, normalization. This is the period of stability until the next cycle begins. It's a deceptive stage where society believes it's adapting to a new normal, but in reality, it's a period of consolidation for the subverter. Today we see these stages play out in real time. The rise of cancel culture, the growing divide in gender politics, and the magnification of racial bias can be seen as elements of demoralization and destabilization. The ongoing socio-political unrest mirrors the crisis stage. According to Bezmenov, we are currently in the stage of normalization. But remember, normalization is not a sign of recovery, but a sign of a completed cycle of subversion. So, what happens next? We'll explore that in the next scene. It's hard to deny that Bezmenov's theories seem eerily relevant today. The rise of what we call woke culture, the emphasis on gender politics, and the prevalence of race bias seem to mirror the stages of demoralization and destabilization Bezmenov outlined over 40 years ago. Woke culture, in its broadest sense, encourages us to be aware of social injustices and fight against them. However, Bezmenov would argue that it's not as innocuous as it seems. The woke movement, in its extreme form, promotes a sense of constant outrage and intolerance for differing views. It's a clear example of what Bezmenov referred to as ideological subversion, where society is conditioned to be hypersensitive to certain issues, creating division and discord. Moving to gender politics, we see another reflection of Bezmenov's theories. While it's crucial to advocate for equal rights and opportunities regardless of gender identity, the conversation has often been manipulated into a divisive us versus them narrative. Bezmenov warned us of this, the creation of artificial divisions to destabilize society, making it easier to control. Then there's the issue of race bias. Despite significant strides towards equality, racial tensions are still a stark reality. Bezmenov's theories suggest that exploiting these existing biases and fanning the flames of racial discord is a classic tactic of psychological warfare. The aim? To deepen the fractures within society and weaken its foundations. But why does all this matter? Well, Bezmenov believed that these societal trends are not merely coincidental. He argued that they are part of a larger, more sinister plan to bring about societal collapse from within. The divisions they create, he warned, could lead to a state of crisis, and eventually, normalization under a new, likely oppressive regime. These are alarming thoughts indeed, but before we succumb to despair, let's pause and consider. Could there be another perspective? Could it be that we're witnessing not the downfall of society, but rather, its painful evolution towards greater inclusivity and equality? Could it be that Bezmenov's warning is coming to pass? Or perhaps is it a call for us to be more discerning, to strive for unity amidst diversity, and to safeguard our society from those who would exploit our differences for their gain? Despite the seemingly grim state of affairs, there is still hope. Our first line of defense, awareness. By understanding the tactics of psychological warfare and subversion, we arm ourselves with the knowledge to spot and counteract these trends. And it's not just about being aware. We must also commit to critical thinking, constantly challenging our own beliefs, and pushing back against the tide of echo chambers. We need to question the narratives, to dig deeper than the surface-level information often presented to us. Moreover, open dialogues are crucial. Engaging in respectful conversations with those holding differing views allows us to broaden our perspectives, to understand the nuances and complexities of the world around us. In this era of information overload, we must strive for discernment, for the courage to navigate through the noise. It's not too late to change course, but it starts with each one of us making a conscious effort to stay informed, question narratives, and engage in respectful dialogues.